Thank you, Virginia. So this is the meeting of the mayor and council. It is a person work session. Today's Tuesday, March 17, and the meeting has been called to order at 7 p.m. I'm going to move on in the agenda to do a call of order when it comes to our electeds. Joseph Jakuda.
Present.
Valerie Woodall.
I'm here.
I see you, right? Daniel Carter.
Present.
Jenny Hoffbauer.
Present.
And I'm present, so we have full quorum, 500. Okay. This is not a voting meeting. It is a work session. In the future, we are going to have tables around, so we are able to communicate a little bit better. Because I'll tell you this, moving back and forward, I cannot always, it's hard for me to even see Jenny in the corner, but we'll work on that as well. But for those that are here in person, welcome to City Hall if you haven't been here before. And if you've been here before, welcome back. All right. Okay. So I'm going to move on to item number 2, review of the agenda. Okay. Moving us on to item number 3, presentation, discussion, the final design for 31st Street and the Food Forest Project. Our city manager, Mr. Kurush Kamali, and the tool design group team will make a presentation to the mayor and council on the final design for the 31st Street Food and Food Forest Project. Item number 4, presentation, discussion, a report from the Garden Committee. That'll be 20 minutes, and we will have a report for the Garden Committee. Presentation, discussion, and report for the Recreation Committee, 20 minutes as well. Mayor and Council will receive a report from the Recreation Committee. I know Recreation Committee and Garden Committee, we'd love to see you guys here. Discussion on Resolution 03-2026, appointing members to the Green Team. Mayor and Council will have discussion Resolution 03-26. And there's been a few amendments on it, but the difference, I'll go ahead and add to the agenda. I'll do it right now. When it comes to appointing members to the Green Team, it's only a discussion, but the people that are being considered are Sharon Kissness, Barry Stahl, Jacqueline Norris, Dr. Jacqueline Norris, Elena Ghostin, and Samir Kutra. All right, I'm going to have to practice that when I swear you in, I promise. All right, but right now it's just a discussion. Those are names that are going to be added, and they'll be as well included if they pass forward, which I don't think they have a problem, for our legislative meeting in April. Okay, let me see. Oh, Joseph. So discussion ordinance 01-2026. You are going to see a bunch of codes, but we are just reviewing the one ordinance, okay? So we're not going to go through every single one of them, but I'll read them for the record. We will have a discussion ordinance 01-2026, amending the code of the city of Rainier, chapter 10, quote unquote, peace and order, section 10-101, quote, vehicles prohibited on sidewalks, and no quotation, section 10-02, open quotation again, vehicles prohibited on the street and sidewalks, close quotation, and section 10-103-103, quote, bicycle safety, to improve the safety of users of bicycles or other similar vehicles, and amending chapter 13, quote, traffic, section 13-07, quote, manner of parking, to alter the manner in which vehicles may park on city streets under certain circumstances, and section 13-118, quote, no through trucks, to alter this designation of streets on which the city may restrict truck traffic. And another quote, Vision Zero Ordinance 01-2026. We got it covered. Okay, I didn't miss one, right? We got them all? Yeah. Okay. Number 8, discussion and rules for public comments. That's going to be 20 minutes. We will have a discussion, the rules for public comments. Item number 9, presentation of minutes. The clerk will present the minutes for February 17, work session, February 21st, 2026, council retreat, March 3rd, 2026, legislative meeting minutes, the mayor and council, and 10 adjournment. At this point, I'm also going to read the upcoming events to make sure we are fully informed. The budget public hearing and work session will be held this Saturday, March 21st, here at Chambers, starting at 9:30. Okay. Egg hunt will be Saturday, March 28th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Nature Center. Thank you for co-hosting us. Gateway Open Studio, May 9, Please come and check out all our wonderful artists. And Mount Rainier Day, May 16, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's going to end at the Nature Center. We'll be having a parade. And you can find this in the agendas, but also in the MountRainierMD.org calendar. So you're invited to our various events. Come hang out with us and enjoy a wonderful time. So before I move on, I did make some additions to the agenda, which for number 6, appointment of the Green Team, I read that the names. I need to know, Council, if you're okay with moving forward with that point as presented. Joseph, Valerie, yes, virtually. Yes, Jenny, okay, good. And there's a minor change on that resolution, and when we get to the point, Joseph's going to be able to talk about it, but those are the names that have been presented, okay? All right. Any objections on the agenda has been presented as? No, we're good? All right. So let's move on with the agenda. So no changes except for the addition that was made. Okay. We're going to move on to item number 3, presentation discussion on the final design for the 31st Street and Food Forest from a collective that we well know who has worked in our city in several projects, to design team. Who knows? You definitely know our city very well. And I'm going to pass the floor to Mr. Kamali to say a few words, and then we could pass it to Tool Design. Anything you need to add, Mr. Kamali?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and hello, everyone. As you see on the screen, this is one of the projects that is being funded through U.S. Department of Transportation. And so in 2023, we received $9.7 million from the U.S. DOT, and 2.25 the city is going to put 80% to 20%. So this is one of the projects that Tool Design as a consultant has been working with the city since 2019. We initiated the concept first. We came to the area, we talked to the resident on 31st Street. It was a Friday afternoon with Council Member Luke Chesick. And so we got the feedback from the community that time. And Tool Design has been working on the final design. Tonight, I have Tool Design to present more information to you guys and get your feedback and finalize it. And hopefully we're going to go through the construction this summer. So we appreciate that. I have Elizabeth from Tool Design. She is the director of the design section, and she's going to be explaining all the slides for us tonight. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
I see you the floor, so go ahead.
Yeah,
I need to see it from here, because if I see it from there, I'm not seeing nothing. So go on.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. We're here to present 31st Street. This is, as you can see on the screen, Tool Design is working on the right where the star is, in between Upshur Street and Taylor Street on 31st Street. If you can go to the next slide. This was the concept plan that was developed, and we pretty much stuck to the concept plan as we worked through the design to create a traffic calming crossing at the intersection of where, in the middle of the road between Upshur and Taylor, where there's a mini park. And in the concept design, we were anticipating a raised crossing and a reduced crossing by creating bump outs with planting to get, as the raised crossing will create some traffic calming, and then planted bump outs for beautification and some stormwater management opportunities. You can scroll to the next slide. So this is our proposed plan, and I showed the landscaping plan because I think there's a lot less lines and details here, but I will kind of walk through what we're proposing. Basically, some improved sidewalk and concrete sidewalk on both sides where we were doing a raised crossing, and the raised crossing will have pavement markings to ensure a high visibility crosswalk. with some planting. And this is at a low point in the curvature of the road. And as you can see on the left side of the screen, there are 2 drainage inlets. The crossing is to the right of those drainage inlets. And so we will have drainage structure underneath the crossing to allow the water to go through underneath the crossing. So we'll be avoiding any puddling on the high side of the crossing. We're studying the 10-year and the 2-year storm to ensure that, water will flow underneath the crossing. And then there's an existing, where we have the plantings, there's some depression in the plantings to assume and hold some stormwater for infiltration for some stormwater management treatment. And, some plants for some beautification. There'll be some stone in there also to kind of help with, the water erosion and infiltration. And then on the north, north is to the right. So the west side of the street here, there is an existing tree that we're going to be saving and protecting during construction outside of 4208 31st Street is the address, I believe. And that tree is fairly young. It's like a 2-inch caliper tree, I think. So we feel like it can be protected and saved in that grass space there. And then the bump outs there are curbed. So there's, you're protected and the site distance is fine. We looked at the site distance and everything with that trunk. So those are the details of the design. It is pretty close to what the concept was presented, and we didn't find anything alarming. I do, during construction, I do think that there are utilities on the west side of the street that kept us from the ability to do any tree plantings. But for the most part, everything else is, designed to the conceptual plan.
You have another slide or you're done?
I think that was it, right?
There is another one.
Is there another one?
There is another one.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry.
shows the
Yes, this is the
cross-sections.
cross-section. Sorry. So this is the cross-section. Sometimes it is hard to understand these, but this is basically in sections. So looking at the road, the center line is the center of the road. And so we're still maintaining the crown of the road, which helps, the drainage from the road. We're not changing the crown of the road. And the drainage will still work. We're just, elevating the cross section. We're also not changing the existing curb along the entire road, except for that cross section where we're bumping it out, to reduce that crossing width.
Go back to my seat. I like hanging out with you guys better, to be honest with you. I was like moving me over there. All right. All right. So thank you so much for the presentation and for the work that you've done. I'm going to go ahead and call on council to see if they have any. I always get like water bottles that are leaking. Water follows me apparently. How do you call it? If they have any question, last week I started with this end. So I'm gonna start with the other end, Jenny. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Hi. Can you tell me what happens to the parking that's in front of that area on 31st?
Yeah, so the parking right at the crosswalk will be eliminated where the bump outs are.
About how many spots? Do you have an estimate of that?
1 or 2.
Yeah, probably one or two on each side.
Okay.
So,
Can I answer that? Also, if you look at the history of the area, there are not too many cars parked at that location. And I just want to make sure, but we're going to lose between 1 or 2 parking. We have no choice because sometimes you want to make sure that we're trying to bring safety to the area. The concept was to make the street safe because when you come down from Bunker Hill, people are speeding up. And I just installed speed humps at 44,015 or 11. There is a new speed bump before you get to the Taylor. And then once you pass the intersection, there is another hump which is the raised crosswalk. So unfortunately, we have to lose 1 or 2 spots.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yes. Mr. Kamali, I went out there and I looked, and it's actually going to be 3 to 4 parking spaces that they're losing. And I actually had a resident who is here tonight who brought up a wonderful thought, and I'd like to give it to you so that you can consider, and you as well. Since the parking on that side of the street already is considered calming, because when you have parking on both sides, it reduces the traffic down to what we're essentially doing with this design by the bump outs on both sides. Would it be possible to protect the parking on that one side, which already would be out as far or further than a bump out would be, and just keep the bump outs on the other side? That would still narrow that area in there. It makes a lot of sense to me, because this is a quality, losing even 2 spaces in that area is going to have a huge impact on the residents. So I'd like to ask you to consider that. So what it would be to remove the bump outs on the food forest side, allowing the parking. A car's width would still be the same or close to the same as a bump out would be, and keeping the bump outs on the other side where there are no cars that park. You understand where I'm going?
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from, but we're proposing a crossing here. This is a pedestrian crossing. So pedestrian safety, just from a visual, a visibility standpoint, we would recommend removing parking anyway, whether there was a bump out or not, for visibility. The pedestrian on the curb wouldn't be able to be seen with a car coming down with cars parked. So the bump out, whether you have a bump out or not a bump out, you would still eliminate parking so the pedestrian can be seen. And when they're extended into the bump out, further into the road, it allows them to be more visible from a traffic calming and safety perspective. That's what we would recommend. So we don't recommend eliminating or having parking all on the one side from a safety visibility.
Okay. I guess I need to make a motion to add time.
No, that's your time.
Was that my time?
Council time.
Oh, I get, okay. So, thank you.
But can I ask something? I know the table sitting is a little bit awkward today. I will recommend moving forward, like ask your questions so on it and top, because it's not per time. So I'm not going to take any of your time.
Okay, thank you.
Just as an advice, because if not, as a presenter, is answering the question, it's going to cut down a lot on your time. So you might not be able to she might be able to get to answer within your 3 minutes. So that's just an advice to follow through, but I wouldn't say it goes back and forward. That's the reason why we ask a bunch of questions in the front, but also gives a chance to everybody else to ask questions. And if you have not gotten your question, the second time around, you'll get it, but it gives time for everybody to potentially ask something. Okay.
I appreciate that, Mayor. This was the only question because you answered the other two during the presentation. Thank you for Mr. Kamali for being proactive about that. I appreciate your explanation. I hope that the residents who expressed concern about this in the area take what you said under consideration. I'm sure I'll hear from some. We do have some here in the audience tonight. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you, and thank you for presenting on this. I think it's a good, solid plan. And all your work on the Safe Streets for All. I think my question is more for Mr. Kamali. I think we've talked about curb improvements at 31st and Taylor specifically, and then you mentioned that we're not going to be having any curb updates for the rest of 31st Street. Is there a plan to update the curbs themselves along 31st Street after this?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by curb improvement? Are you talking about the location that I have the project?
Well, you're improving the curbs at this one location, but the rest of the curbs on 31st Street could use improvement as well. So I was wondering if there's a plan to continue improving that street.
There is a different project that is called sidewalk improvements and crosswalk improvements that we're going to be starting in May or April if the weather permits. As you know, that those projects are paused right now. So this project is only for the food forest area, and definitely we're going to do a lot of curb improvements in the entire city.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for the presentation, and I'm glad to see that the Safe Streets for All. I believe this is the first major project we're doing. I'm glad it's underway. I had one question in regards to the safety. I do love to send my kids down to the food forest, and I'm glad that they can walk down there. And I'm really glad to see the raised sidewalk. But I was concerned that if there's going to be trees on the east side of the street and the bump outs, will that also have a negative impact on visibility when folks are crossing?
So in the concept, we had proposed trees, but we're not in the proposed plan, we're not doing trees. It's only low ground cover plantings.
Okay, on the east side then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Definitely thank you for the work. I think that part of the thing that we asked when it came to the plan was ways that we could safely travel. We have a lot of roads in the street. We do have 2 elementary schools, and we have a lot of kids that walk through them. At least the ability to decrease how much time they spend on the street is important. And I think that's the reason why you guys do it that way, because now it's a smaller piece that they'll be able to be walking in the street in comparison to like the big wide street. Hopefully with everything that's changed, it allows for the drivers to slow down, but visually see the person crossing, but it's less space, which allows for less space for them to be in danger. Correct? That's the reason why you have the circles around as well, right?
Correct.
We're
Yeah.
narrowing the road down. Definitely, that's gonna help the traffic. People cannot speed up because of the cross section that they're facing at that point.
Because I think that was one of the recommendations that was made, like
Yeah.
reduce how much people spend in the street. So that will solve that problem. And I know parking is interesting in the city, but the less amount we are spending crossing the street, it allows us, basically what they're doing is like they're expanding, like bumping out, making the sidewalk a lot bigger, which allows cars to still pass, but people crossing is like less space for them to cross. So that way they'll be a little bit safer. That's more or less the idea. And trust me, we have a lot of parking issues in my little street, but at least will allow people to be able to enjoy the food forest and walk, because that is actually a big pathway for kids that are walking from the apartments to get to the school as well. So in saying that, thank you so much for taking the various recommendations. And Mr. Kamali, thank you as well for your team. I know we heavily look for grants to be able to make the decisions that we're making. And I'm glad that we are looking at a holistic approach between the intersections, the middle, so that way it works through completely. So I don't have no questions to ask. I think that, at least for me, like I seen this package and the team already asked the questions. Okay. Anything else you would like to add, or you're good?
No, we're good. If anybody else have any question, we'll be glad, or they can email me at citymanager@mountRainierMD.org. This is the only project right now is going to be implemented. We got 4 more for this summer. So hopefully you guys going to see more of this project for next 4 years between now and 2029. Thank you.
And hopefully more if I could get more money. That's my job for the last week. All right, so if we have any members of the community that like to speak, the mic is there. Right here, the podium. Yeah, go ahead. So name, last name, block and street number, and you have 3 minutes, and Pink is over there. She'll time you if you're running out of time. Okay, go ahead.
My name is Emerson LaJoy.
Is it on?
It's
mic
green now.
Yeah, it's now. The mic is more for like them to be able to record it for later than it is for the people in front. Yeah, they hear you.
Okay, so my name's Emerson LaJoy. I'm on the 3100 block of Taylor Street, which is basically the northeast corner of that intersection. So I'm very familiar with this area. Just to let you know, the power lines are actually on the this side of that picture. So trees can be planted on the other side more easily. But I will say, I think this is beautiful. I'm really excited about it. I do think that some of my neighbors are going to have issues with losing parking. That's going to be a bummer. I do want to raise that this petition started actually with us as neighbors going back. It got lost during COVID and got resurged a couple times. But I just want to go on the record that our biggest concern was the intersection. I have long witnessed people flying through that intersection at unsafe speeds. There are pedestrians of every sort that walk through there, of all sizes, bikers, pets, and there's just stop sign? What stop sign? So my world was speed table at that intersection. So I just want to put a plug in for that because this is beautiful, and to have that or something like that there would be great. And I think those are my main points.
Right.
And thank you. This looks really pretty.
Thank you, Emerson. Mr. Kamali?
Yeah, Mayor, can I answer the question? So I did receive the petition later on, and I just want to let you know that the state law does not allow you to install a speed hump at the intersection. The distance between each speed humps should be minimum of 175 feet from the stop sign. So we have a stop sign on the other side at the block of 4,000. I just installed this speed humps, which is 200 or 300 feet away from the intersection. Then once you pass the intersection, you come to the raised crosswalk. I wish I could do that. I understand what you guys are going through, but unfortunately, there is a state law, county law that I have to follow. I cannot install the speed hump at the intersection, unfortunately.
Mr. Kamali?
Yes, a speed hump is the same almost as speed table.
Okay, so time is up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I am gonna request at least like 5 more minutes to be added. So can I have a motion on the floor to add 5 more minutes to the clock?
I make a motion, we add 5 minutes to the clock.
So move.
So moved.
Okay, so probably moved in second. Any discussion? Objections? Abstentions? Here none, we're gonna go ahead and add 5 more minutes to the clock. Okay, so if we have anybody else that would like to, please come up to the mic. And usually for work session, we do not have public comment. We're making an exception, but usually we don't. You have to turn the mic on. In the top. There you go. You're good.
Hi, I'm Valerie Solinsky. I'm in the 4100 block of 31st Street, right on the hill, right by the new speed bump. Thank you for that. And I was an original signer of the petition, and then the second time around when the first one got lost. I just wanted to echo the intersection being a real problem. We do have speed bumps right before stop signs in other intersections. I'm pretty sure we do at either Bunker Hill or Shepherd or one of those where cars have to really stop right at or before the stop. So again, putting it in for consideration. Also, I'm wondering if there is a better way to make visibility for those stop signs and for that intersection as well. I know a lot of times in the summer when there's a lot of foliage, you don't actually see the stop sign until you're almost on. I mean, I know it's there, but people who don't or people who aren't paying attention. So maybe it can be made more visible. And I also just wanted to say, I have been living since 2005 in my house, and I have not had a curb. It's been decimated from before I was there, and I'm pretty sure it was promised to me that our whole street, that it was promised in 2012 that it would be repaired. So if this happens, Mr. Kamali, my hat is off to you. Thank you.
We want to see you in the meeting when that happens, okay? You heard that, right, Valerie? You're going to be the first.
I promise you, we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done.
And anybody else from the audience? And moving forward, we are going to have a sign-in sheet to make it easier so that way you guys don't have to come. That way we could call you. Just this, yeah.
This is just, I used to live at 4205 31st Street, and I had a wonderful landlord, Oliver Pearson, who lives in Vermont. His house is the one to be most impacted by this on the food forest side, and I just wanted to know that he had been contacted about this, and I'm happy to provide his email address because I imagine he was not at the meeting with Luke Chesick because he lives in Vermont.
Okay. All right. So
I'll
provide
provide-
information.
I
It's
will.
fine, so we could send it over. Thank you so much for that. Anybody else on this subject? Nope. All right. So we are, I am, thank you so much for being here and thank you for like giving you guys your wonderful opinions. We'll continue working on it. I think that's something that the council has worked really hard, and we're seeing the benefits even through this council, right? Is trying to get funding to get everything we need because construction is very expensive, So we have a list, we're working it, checking it twice and going out there. Okay, and the staff will always revisit to figure out what else could be done in order to make sure we stay within the rules of the law, right? Certain decisions were made, and it's more expensive to fix those. But we're moving forward. We need to make sure we follow through with what we need to be before we get ourselves in trouble. All right, but anyway, so thank you guys for being here, and we look forward, to having you guys out when, all the time. All right, so moving on to the next item. Presentation, discussion, and reports from the Garden Committee.
I'll call you.
We'll get a report from the Garden Committee.
Thank you.
So Valerie, this one is yours. So go ahead and I'm gonna pitch it to you so that way you could present who's here, who's wonderful people are here, and who's gonna speak.
Hi, thank you. Yes, we have the City Garden Committee. We constituted this last year, so it's an official committee. And presenting, we have Darissa Griffin and Tracy Velasquez. But we have Marilyn Martinez in the room as well.
So thank you guys so much. So I'm gonna go ahead and see you the floor for the presentation as well. Okay, and you have it queued up, right? This one I do have. Sorry, yeah. Your mic is up.
Angela's in the room as well, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us as well, Angela. And I don't know if you might see her, but she's right there in the second row. Okay? Thank you. All right. Go ahead. And I do have your presentation more doable. So go on.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to present, Mayor Benitez and council members. We definitely appreciate this. My name is Darissa Griffin. That's 2 R's, 2 S's. I am the secretary for the community garden.
I'm Tracy Velasquez. I'm at 4103 33rd Street, and I have been acting as co-treasurer.
So about us, the Mount Rainier Community Garden has been going strong for more than 10 years, since 2013. The city of Mount Rainier granted permission to a group of volunteers to use a piece of land on 31st Street for the purpose of a community garden. Over the years, the garden has become a vital part of the city's work to increase sustainability, build resilient communities, and provide healthy food choices for our families. As of 2026, the community garden team maintains 30 plots that are assigned to interested members of the community. The plots are assigned on an annual basis, and members in good standing are eligible to keep their garden plot for the subsequent year. At present, we are at approximately 70% occupied. There is no cost to joining the community garden, but gardeners are asked to participate in ground maintenance, weeding, turning compost, filling the water cisterns, and other tasks. The garden hosts monthly work days, and we also promote gardening educational programs and partnerships. So about our community work days. Our community work days are the second Saturday of every month during the growing season, which is approximately March through October annually. All gardeners contribute a minimum of 10 hours of work hours every month in 2-hour increments to maintain their plot membership. As you can see, these are some of the activities that we take part in. We have our infrastructure team repairing some of the plots to make sure people have, the lumber and stuff that we need. And then we have things where people are filling the compost and also cleaning some of the beds. We also encourage members to attend different educational opportunities throughout the city of Mount Rainier, or partner with other gardens within the region to, learn more about gardening and also to build community. On the slide, we have pictures of some of our members attending the Mount Rainier Nature Center event, where they were learning about how to use different containers and container gardening education as well. In addition, we also encourage our members to participate in fellow committee events like the Recreation Committee's Sweaty Sweater Fun Run, and also the Mount Rainier Police Department Halloween Trunk or Treat. And we just encourage them to come out, have fun, and to help in any way that we can. And we are so excited and grateful for the opportunity to have this new grant from the Redevelopment Authority from Prince George's County, which is called the Community Impact Grant. Through the Gateway CDC, the community garden was awarded $23,330 for a water line installation in a central area of the garden that will accommodate hoses to water several areas. The grant also provides for an ADA compliant gate and a few raised garden beds, garden bed planters to be added for people that cannot reach the ground level of the garden. This is exciting. We have a bunch of things coming on the horizon for that. With that being said, there are some things that we wanted to bring up that would help us further our mission at the garden community. And I'll let Tracy speak to that.
Thank you. And it was really a pleasure to work with the city to get that grant. I wrote a lot of it and was really happy that we were able to work with particularly Councilmember Valerie Woodall on that. And she helped really negotiate with the community development group. And we're looking forward to that moving forward. Obviously, our gardeners are a little bit antsy to see it get started because it's March, and although it is like 30 degrees outside, we continue to hope that spring will come and stay. We have had a couple of challenges over the past couple of years. One is that our current shed is kind of falling apart. And we have been anxious to get new tools for the garden and for the gardeners. The ones we have are old and many of them are rusted. We don't have enough of them. And we had obtained a shed a couple of years ago, and we had been told that the city would put it together for us, and it hasn't happened yet. And I would just say that if we had known that the city was not going to have the time to do this or the capacity, we have a budget from the city, which we're very grateful for, and we could have hired people to put the shed together, and we would now have a shed. So we also were unable to spend all of our budget last year because we weren't going to buy tools that we had no place to store. And I just wanted to bring that up because I know we underspent last year, and I just wanted to sort of lay out the reason for that, which was partially because the shed was never erected. And we really look forward to having that. I know Mr. Kamali has said that it'll get done when spring shows up, and we are looking forward to that. Also, just the water has been such a challenge with the past couple of years being especially hot and those terrible cisterns. I broke my hand at one point and was not able to get around and was unable to use them because I couldn't use them because you have to haul water from them. I know that we were very proud to have a handicap accessible walkway put in. However, that's as far as it goes. The garden is not handicap accessible once you walk up to the gate and including the gate. So we just wanted to sort of emphasize that the water is so needed, but so are some of these accessibility issues. I'm just speaking because, my mom has been a lifelong gardener, and she is one of those people who, she doesn't need a wheelchair yet, but she uses oxygen, and she, at her senior living center, she has someplace she can garden that's at this level, and it adds so much value to her life that she's able to continue to garden even though she's in her 80s. And right now we don't have that available for our senior members of this community. And we would like it to be, we've had senior members at the garden in the past, and some of us are getting that direction too. So, looking at how we can make sure that the garden is accessible for our whole community. We've hesitated at this point to, start a new waiting list because, we don't know if we can guarantee accessible spots. We're not sure of the impact of, putting the water line in. And so we're a little bit on hold right now until we know the impact. And I would say that, we would love to get some gardening in this year. And so, the sooner we have an idea of the impact. So if we need to move people around, so their spot, if they have in a spot that's going to get dug up for the water line, maybe there's one of those vacant spots that we can move them to. So we're just very anxious to get started. We have had, like I said, people are interested in the vacant spots, but until we know what's going to happen, we're definitely on a pause, but we would like to continue to make improvements and make sure that we actually get to spend our budget this year. And again, we're just so grateful for. I would just want to call out Valerie again for her work with the Community Development Corporation, because the grant had to be in partnership with a nonprofit organization. And we would love to continue making improvements. And I'm happy to help write grants in the future as well.
Thank you. All right, so I'll go ahead and go the opposing corner. So Joseph, I'm going to go to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Garden Committee members. No, it's great that you guys are still going after almost a decade now. I was there when it was founded as part of the Green Team, and I'm really impressed with that. I'm glad to see that my council member to my right was able to work with you guys to get some funding for these projects to make it more accessible. It's really important for everyone to be able to garden, not just those that aren't differently abled. But I don't really have too many questions because you guys are doing great work, and I'm really excited to see how you proceed in the next year. And if you do need anything else from me, let me know.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. I will note that the Community Impact Grant is a one-year grant cycle, so we have to spend the money in this year. The Gateway CDC has not gotten the grant agreement back from the Redevelopment Authority, so as soon as we get that, we'll know exactly what the period is. But I would expect by December it would have to be done. And I don't have any other. My only other question is, how do you sign up for the community garden if you wanted to?
So we have the email list that's displayed. Predominantly people either email us a lot of times when we're in the garden, however, doing work days or just on our own gardening, people will come up and they'll ask, and we'll instruct them to email, or whoever's in charge of the email list will shoot them a note. And if we can get the person's contact information, we'll shoot them a note to let them know, hey, so-and-so is interested in the community garden. We do also have one or two, I guess you call them advertisements. They're really just handwritten things like at Glut, where people see the email address. But it is something that we would like to actively work on. I know, at least I think in the past, there was a more official community garden email address. So maybe that's something we could work on getting back up. But that's at present how we operate.
And I would just add, we had an outreach plan that we were putting together until we got the grant, and we realized we can't get new gardeners until we know what it's going to look like. And it was going to be like something that goes in the message, using some of the other listservs and social media, and posting more around town. So definitely, when we have a sense of, when we can start taking new members, gardeners, we'll go ahead and sort of implement that, and we'll look forward to partnering with the city on that.
Perfect. So Mr. Kamali, yes, your task would be the garden committee email to see if there's one that has a city address, and If not, we might have to create one. Okay.
I have never been asked to request for the email address, and that can be done. So I definitely look into it, and we'll see.
Thank you, Mr. Kamali. Danielle?
Great, thank you. I'll just let you know, as soon as you guys are ready to start advertising, let me know, because I do my community newsletter, and I'd love to put a blurb in. I do it for any other committee who asks me. I'd love to do it as well for you guys. Thank you for the explanation on the budget, because I was looking at the line item going, but they didn't spend half of it, and now I know why. So we need to get that shed built, because gardeners got to shop. We got to have tools, right? So thank you for answering that question. And I look forward to seeing the shed go up and you guys get all the new tools. So, but I do support you if you guys need any help. I will reach out to the email here. I'll give you my information. Let me know what I can do to help advertise for you. Thank you.
Jenny?
Thank you for the presentation. I'm curious whether you think that there's demand for more spots than you have available, and if you could give kind of any estimate. We have other land in the city, and I'm wondering if there's been talk about potentially expanding to other locations.
I would say one on a different part of town where it's more accessible would be great. I mean, one of the challenges of that spot is about a quarter of it is pretty shady. So, and trees grow really fast. And so there were a couple of trees that were left back when the garden was founded 10 years ago. It's like, oh, that tree is not causing any trouble. And now it's shading like 10 spots. So I think if there was one that was accessible, maybe on the other side of town, that would be awesome too.
Yes, I agree. We do have people who want, to garden, and of course, capacity and, the ability to have enough space to do that, I think would be amazing. A lot more people are getting into gardening. I know myself, I live in an apartment complex, in the Kaywood apartment complex, and we don't have the ability to have a garden in any capacity because, there's not really any balconies, and they really don't want you on the grass. And, it's for people like myself, it's been a godsend to be able to have a space to grow some food for my family and to be, able to be out in nature in that way. It's just amazing. So I know a lot more people would be so grateful if there were more land or more opportunity for them to be able to garden. Sorry.
Just add one thing is, it's a really wonderful place to meet people in the community, right? And work together on things, like even if it's pulling weeds and, putting down mulch, but being able to meet other folks who, live across town, who you might not see otherwise. It's been a really rewarding experience for me. And I'm sure for others too.
Okay, thank you so much. As for me, I don't necessarily have a question, but thanks for all the work that you guys are doing. I think that having accessibility to water is a challenge in most of the locations in the city, and the fact that the round was written, but also like heavily in support. So thank you, Councilmember Woodruff, for that as well. Allows to be able to change, because I know in certain areas where they were planning as well, people are dragging water from their house and stuff like that, and the reality is like opening space for water is not cheap. It's very expensive, mainly because of the piping in some areas are like the closest even accessible water part is so far. There'll be more money just trying to get the piping, at least alone, like the ability to do it. So I'm really glad that happened, because I know you guys have been struggling with that. And during COVID also was like a little bit of a safe haven. Something that you guys definitely didn't mention was you guys also were growing additional food, helping and partnering with Cafe as well, in order to make sure that that was happening. So running the various food locations that I was running, we definitely appreciate the additional help that was given, because fresh products is very hard to get. And when we were in a shortage, it was even very expensive. But so if you ever are doing our Halloween event, if you see apples, that's where they come from, right? They make sure to provide apples as an alternative for the kids. The other point to address is this is why, at least for me, it's so important to continue supporting Gateway. because it allows for us to be able to reach those fundings that we wouldn't be able to do it as a city. And we have tried, because we have tried many years over to try to get the water accessibility, and it hasn't happened. But at least it gives us that ability to be able to partner with one of our organizations in order to make sure to make the change that we need. So for that, but if it takes people to write it as well, right? So thank you for that as well. So it's very loving to sell the good project and have the ability to have partners that see the importance of it. So big thank you to the whole committee. I know not everybody's here, and the people that are also growing the veggies and stuff. It's great. I got and picked some of the weeds before with a couple of people. They were like, "You're here." I'm like, "No, I'm not here. You didn't see me. Just picking like weeds." But thank you for that. Very educational as well. All right. No, you're fine. All right. We're good. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And we're like, I always tell people, you don't have to stay, but you're welcome to stay and hang out with us. Because people are like, can we leave? And we're like, we'll hold you hostage until the meeting is done. All right. All right. Thank you guys so much. All right. Moving on to the next item, presentation, discussion, and report from the Recreation Committee. And Valerie, this is also your committee, so I'm just going to pass it to you.
Thank you. Like with the community garden and the Gateway CDC and the Recreation Committee, I think it's important for the committee and the Arts Commission to come up and present what they're doing to the City Council and to the residents, so that if people are interested in joining committees or getting involved, this is a good way to do it as a volunteer. So I will turn it over to you, and thank you for being here.
Who's here?
Emily Bird from the Recreation Committee is here.
So thank you for joining us. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Of course. I'm also a community gardener, so I'm super jazzed for some water. So good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us tonight. My name's Emily. I have been on the Recreation Committee now. I think it's my third year. I really enjoy it. I like the events we do. I love community engagement. So I'm excited to talk about our work. I'll kind of go through what we've been up to this year and then do a little rundown of our small grants fund, which is another kind of thing that we do. And then I'm happy to answer questions and all that. So big picture for anybody who's not familiar, the Recreation Committee works on facilitating multi-generational opportunities in the areas of sports, appreciation of our natural environment, the arts. This year, we've engaged approximately 500 residents. We've put on 3 events so far this year. We've awarded 2 grants through our small grants funds, which funds other community events that are happening during the year, with more to come. We have a full committee right now of 5 voting members. We added 1 new committee member this past year. We have 5 voting members. We are always happy for volunteers. You don't have to be a voting member to join our meetings, to participate in events. So we are thrilled for extra hands. So by all means, please, if you're curious, feel free to reach out to us or attend one of our meetings. So this year, I'll start with kind of our summer event, which was Mount Rainier Pride Day. So Pride 2025 was hosted in June. It featured a joyful parade through town. We ended at the Gateway Farmers Market for the 2nd year in a row, I think, and featured local LGBTQ+ organizations doing some tabling. This year, we also had a literature table with LGBTQ+ authors, books, some of whom were local, and also performances at the market. So it was a great event, despite a unexpected thunderstorm right as the parade was starting. But the turnout ended up being really great. It's really nice to be able to connect with other things already happening in our community, like the market, where it's already drawing a big crowd. So we were able to kind of capitalize on that. Porch Fest, we hosted this fall. I think the committee has done and the city have done different Porch Fest events throughout the years. This was kind of the second one that I've been a part of. It was bigger and more well attended this year, I think. We featured 6 performances, which were held on porches across the city. More than 100 people made it around the event despite a rainy forecast. And performances were kind of all over the place. It was great. It was very Mount Rainier. Everything ranged from spoken word poetry, there was folk rock, a local Mount Rainier steel drum orchestra, which put as I think one for like most musicians on a porch. It was a really lovely afternoon. And this year, the thing that we did different was we asked neighbors not only if they would like to perform, but if like they would like to be a host porch. And so that was really fun to be able to pair performers with other neighbors who could host them if for some reason you didn't have a porch or wanted to a different space to perform. So that was a successful event, I think. And then last but not least, in December, we just hosted our 3rd annual Sweaty Sweater 5K fun run. This year was really exciting. We switched our location. We have the new Memorial Park right in the heart of the city. We were able to have that as our start and finish line. We had 275 people registered, and over 130 came the morning of, which is, from what I've learned, fairly typical. We sometimes are ambitious in our signing up for a 9 a.m. run on a Saturday. But it's an event that's been growing for the past 3 years. So we were really, really happy with the turnout and the way the race went this year. And then we just want to shout out, because we also had Thomas Stone Elementary PTO came to table very early, and it was very cold out, and they were fabulous. And then we also had PGIRC, the Prince George's Immigrants' Rights Collective, came as well. So we were excited to be able to include like some other local community groups, just kind of spark communication or conversation among neighbors. And last but not least, shout out to Penny Royal, who had the outdoor outlet that inflated our start and finish arch. So we're very grateful that they're there. So yeah, these were 3 events that we've hosted so far this year. Okay, so the other kind of thing that the committee participates in is our recreation activities grants. So I'll kind of pivot and start talking about that, but I'm happy to answer any questions on our events later too. So for folks who don't know, the city also provides us with a recreation activities grant, which is a pot of money. This year it's $7,500. That we can grant out to other community groups, individuals, nonprofits in our area to host their own events. The activities grant includes up to $2,500 in funding. It's based on a reimbursement of eligible expenses. Programs must be open to residents of Mount Rainier and must promote enhanced community engagement. Other than that, it's fairly wide open, and we've funded like a pretty wide range of events. This year we pivoted a little and we set 2 application deadlines, so one fall and one spring. We just closed our spring application deadline, but if you want more information on the process and on all info on the activities grant, you can see our webpage on the city's site. So I just want to introduce like a couple of the grantees that we have this year. And then I'll talk about kind of our plans for the activities grant moving forward. So far this year, we've recommended 2 applications for funding. So the first is from Gateway Aging Together, which folks might see their emails pop up on the listserv a lot. They are an intergenerational network of neighbors. They organize a lot of activities in Mount Rainier. They are hosting a community potluck series. They did a really awesome job working with the Mount Rainier Nature Center to host the event. They are providing childcare, so I will be attending, which is it's really awesome. So they're hosted on Friday nights, and they usually send out emails on the listserv just to remind folks. You can also sign up for their mailing list on their website. And then the second grantee that we recommended for funding is an event, Community Skateboarding Day, which is set for May 2nd. And this is being organized by 3 Mount Rainier residents and local artists. They also have some support from the Capital Parks and Planning Commission. So looks like a really exciting event this spring. They're going to have live music, which is specifically what the activities grant is going to support. Skateboard demonstrations, youth art activities, roller skating if you are brave. And then the day is culminating in a screening of a short documentary about Prince George's based musician Link Ray, and artist Jay Coleman, who did the mural that's across the street from the skate park and is also doing, I think, another mural off of 34th Street soon. So looks like a really great sort of coming together of all things Mount Rainier. Interesting history, good music. So we're excited about those grantees, and then we're also in the process now of reviewing the spring round that we got. So we got an additional 4 applications last week, and so we're looking forward to awarding the second half of the funding for the remainder of the year. And so just to talk a little bit about the grants program in general, I think this year has been cool to see some of the changes we've made. Our application numbers have gone up a lot. Last year we had, I think, 4 total. This year we have 9. We've had 9. So I think it's definitely helped to have more targeted submission dates. The city has been super helpful in promoting it more. It's on our social media. It's like we're getting applications from not just like people that the rec committee members have said like, hey, you should apply for this. So that is cool to see. It's like making its way out into the world. And then we've also just put some effort into our review process. All the members review the applications prior to meeting. We use kind of a pretty simple scoring rubric that kind of helps us like figure out where different applications sit and what are the strongest ones. And then we use our meeting time to discuss and vote on which ones to recommend to the city for funding. So we're looking forward to kind of tightening up that process. And I think we're interested to work more too on like, I think we can do more to like get the word out when we have chosen grantees, to kind of announce like, hey, this is also happening in the community, and any way that the rec committee can kind of push those events out there as well. All right, so our upcoming events, we aim to host 4 events every year. We kind of try to shoot for a quarterly schedule. Our next event is going to be Mount Rainier Pride this summer. So our meeting next week, our planning is going to start. So I just want to do a quick plug. If you are interested in being part of Mount Rainier Pride Day, we'd love to have input and volunteers. So feel free to reach out to us. Our email is at the end of this. And we're always happy to have folks join. Our next meeting is, I wrote it down for myself, is March 26th. And then we're looking forward to another Porch Fest in September, the 4th annual Sweaty Sweater Run, and another spring community event that we've been sort of playing around with different spring events, and I think we're figuring out what kind of works in that time frame. So I'm looking forward to working through it with everybody. And that is, that's all I have tonight. Thank you so much for hearing about our work. If you ever want to get in touch with us, our email is up there. Our members are listed. Many of them are currently putting children to bed, so that's why they couldn't be here. Hopefully someone is putting my children to bed. But we're a fun group. We enjoy the committee work we do. We really have a very cheesy view that like community engagement and joyful fun events are like impactful, especially, in today's crazy world. So I would not hesitate to reach out to us. You can always email us. Stephanie is the other co-chair. We do check the email. We promise we check the email. It might not be every day, but we're on it. And that's all, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we have 46 minutes, if that's correct. Can I ask, I'm making a motion to add 5 more minutes to the clock.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Objections? Abstentions? Here none. 5 more minutes. Make it concise. All right, so I went this way. I know, I'm gonna get a little tally. I'm gonna start putting like little numbers around with you guys. All right, so Jenny, go ahead.
Hi, Emily. I was wondering, thank you for your work on the Recreation Committee. I was wondering if you guys have considered collaborating with neighboring cities on events, whether like there are other cities that do similar events, and whether you think that might be a possibility or if it's a bad idea, that's fine too.
Yeah, go ahead and answer.
I think it's a great idea since we are a small community and there's like a lot of us small communities around here. We haven't worked directly with any neighboring cities yet. We do, it's funny because we are always constantly like checking their pages to make sure our events aren't like overlapping. So yeah, I think it's a good idea in the future. I think if there were like, it's a little tricky, like knowing who to contact and who to get in touch with. So that would be my only like hurdle of like who to talk to.
Danielle?
Thank you. Thank you, Emily, for coming. Appreciate it. I love how you put in here about the 2 submission dates. That's one of the things that we thought before I joined council that we should split it up, that it would give more, immediate need to organizations and groups who wanted to apply. So it's good to see that. I do have a question for you. Will you be selecting who gets the spring round of grants at your March 26th meeting?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go Joseph and then I'm gonna end with you, Valerie. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Co-Chair Byrd. I love all your events. I think I went to all of them last year. I particularly love the Sweaty Sweater. And one thing I noticed that event was there were all these fellows that were in really good shape that I didn't recognize, and that's because we managed. Your work over time has managed to build that event into something that people from outside of our community are coming to, which is really great because it helps to really shine a light on Mount Rainier. But I do wonder how that same kind of level of construction over time of events can occur with the grant program. For instance, like if, let's say I hope that this skate park day is very successful. It sounds like it's going to be a really great event. And I am a fan of that song, The Rumble. I wonder how you can build any sort of longevity into the grants if you're, dependent upon grant applicants returning and whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing to think about, and I think we, want our grantees to be successful, right? So when you're putting on events, it's sort of like sometimes it's like, okay, how do you measure success if you have a one-off event? Like, do you have it every year, or is one enough? And I think it probably varies. But I definitely think we look for events that kind of have that little bit of ability in them to kind of either be a series that maybe could be continued, or a day that looks like it has, support from other entities and stuff. But I think it's a great thing to consider moving forward. I think, when we do grant the money, it doesn't become a recreation committee event. So I think we do want to kind of differentiate that we can't run, 12 events a year or anything. But I think it's a good thing to think of moving forward, is making sure we have successful events through the grants activities that either come back for another year or come back for a different kind of event, and kind of keep that momentum growing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Valerie, and then I'll go.
Thank you, and thank you for presenting. I think I don't have any questions at this point, except that we need better weather for next year, because it sounds like it rained or it was very cold on each of our events. So, I appreciate all your work, and thank you for the time.
Okay, so I definitely love your events. I'm there all the time. But I think that the other thing that's very important is the welcoming atmosphere you guys create as a collective team. I definitely say I appreciate it. Allows, although you're not coordinating with other cities, allows for other cities to also come in and enjoy the event and stuff like that. So that to me is very positive, because we do have 6 different municipalities with ours of kids that attend either Thomaston or Rainier Elementary. So it's good for them to be able to know that they could go to the event regardless of if they live in North Brentwood or Cottage City, right? It allows at least for them to feel like we're building community. So I'm very happy for that. For the skating event, MNCCP is a partner. The city's also a partner, because we realized that they need a little bit of help. So Mr. Kamali, thank you so much for the COI that we were able to provide. So that's a way for us to make sure when they came to us and say, we need a little more help, right? To get the support. We managed to talk to them, and NCCP said, we've been partners with you guys for a long time. City, you guys are on board with this? I was like, they're our grantees. Of course, we're not putting, our money, even if it's, for no particular reason. So that was a way to be able to support it as well. But I think with us putting money into the project, although it's not technically a rec committee event, it does allow for people to know that we are putting our funding into creating community events as well, that we might not have the power to be able to do it, or the ability to have this much, because events are definitely very time consuming and they're wonderful, right? But allows us to be able to extend that. So for that, I would say thank you. But I think the welcoming atmosphere has been great. You guys are welcoming, and the Sweaty Story Run, you have kids that they're really, really fast, from elementary kids, right? All the way to people that are pros are running, and they're very happy. They look forward to this event. And it's good to see also for the younger kids to also see adults working out and exercising and doing different things, but those kids are fast. I take the walk, so you could walk. It's Sweaty Run and walk. But there's a walk path, so come and join me. I'm the walker group. We always have at least one council member does running. In this case, it was Joseph did the running before it was Jared, right? I I take care of the walking section of this tier. You know, we like to support walkers.
We all do our part.
Walkers, metal handlers, volunteers, but it is definitely fun. So thank you so much for putting outstanding effort into this. And obviously, not all the committee members are here. We're extending our thank you to every one of them because definitely it's been wonderful. I mean, it's happy moments and a lot of work
you.
put into it. So yeah.
Yeah, I also just want to say real quick, like,
Yeah.
since Sweaty Sweater has thank you for the praise. I just want to also like shout out to Stephanie, our other co-chair, because she's really, she's been leading that particular event for us the past couple of years and is like, she has done a lot to make it what it is. So she's not here tonight, but she's been really awesome.
Well, all right, perfect. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so moving on to the next item in the agenda. We have a discussion of resolution 03-2026, appointing members to the Green Team, Sharon Kisnesborough Shaw, Reverend Jacqueline Norris, Elena Gonstein, Samir Katra. I added everything else. And I'm gonna pass it over to you, Joseph, because it's your resolution, so you could walk us through it.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. For those of you that hadn't been following, we set up the Green Team in a different fashion through our code of ordinances a couple months ago, establishing the team we only had one appointee originally to the team because of the way it was set up, but now we have 5 potential appointees in order to make a full team. And so now that that's all in place, we've been recruiting from residents. The city staff have helped out greatly trying to get the word out and word of mouth. And we have 5 great candidates that have filled out their paperwork and are interested in joining the team. We have Ms. Sharon Niss, who lives on Bunker Hill and facilitates EPA community engagement on environmental justice issues. She's also worked internationally on environmental issues in the Philippines and Ghana. Mr. Barry Stahl, who lives on 30th and is a retired horticulturalist from the Natural Park Service, has a long history in the community, including with the Native Pollinator Program, the 31st Street Food Forest, and the Tree Commission. He also volunteers with Chesapeake Natives. Dr. Reverend Jacqueline Norris lives on 31st Street and been a longstanding community member and an environmental justice advocate, and is a member of the ACPAC with the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments. Ms. Elena Goldstein lives on 28th, and she worked at EPA starting in 2008 in their Office of Water and has held several positions, most recently on sustainable materials, is interested in composting and other materials issues. And Mr. Samir Quatra, who lives in Queenstown Drive and is a climate and energy policy expert with a focus on work in India. And he is motivated to create a healthier and sustainable city for us. So those 5 people put their names forward. We did have a late minute change because Mr. Quatra's application had come in after I drafted up the first one. We were originally going to also reappoint Ms. Sarah Livesey. However, after talking with her, she has served our community so well over these past 8 years. She's helped compile and submit 2 Sustainable Maryland certification applications, stood up a native pollinator program, encouraged adoption of the composting pickup program, launched Bike to Work Day, and held many community events. So she is going to step down from the committee, but help out with the transition. So this resolution that I'm putting forward both will appoint the 5 persons that I mentioned, as well as acknowledge the service that Ms. Livesey has provided over these last 8 years. Any questions?
No, I was asking if you were done before I cut you off.
No.
All right, perfect. All right, so Joseph, do me a favor because these people are going to be potentially appointed. Can you also read through the document so that way people could hear what the resolution is?
Sure.
With the new change added to it.
Okay.
So that way we could move it on to the next one. It'll be
Okay.
fine. Go ahead.
Appointment of residents to the Green Team and acknowledgement of the current Green Team chair. Whereas the city charter, section 402.6 grants the city council the power to appoint any boards, commissions, and committees that may be deemed necessary to further the purposes of the city. And whereas the code of the city of Mount Rainier, section 4.400 establishes a green team, and section 4.401 established the team shall have 5 members appointed for terms of 2 years. Whereas the mayor and city council desire to appoint residents who have an interest in serving on the green team. Whereas Ms. Sarah Lifsey has served as the chair of the Green Team since December of 2018, and during that time helped compile and submit 2 Sustainable Maryland certification applications, stood up the Native Pollinator Program, encouraged the adoption of the Composting Pickup Program, launched a Bike to Work Day pit stop, and activated a group of residents to improve our community and environment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the following residents are appointed to the Green Team for a term of 2 years beginning on April 7th, 2026, in accordance with the Code of the City of Mount Rainier, Section 4.401. Ms. Sharon Niss, Mr. Barry Stahl, Dr. Jacqueline Norris, Ms. Elena Goldstein, Mr. Samir Quatra. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city council of Mount Rainier do commend Ms. Sarah Lifsey for her service as the chair of the Green Team. This resolution is adopted by the City Council of the City of Mount Rainier this day of 2026.
Okay, thank you so much. So you guys have heard the summary as well as the resolution. Just to point out, the changes from what was in the package to the new one was the whereas. Ms. Sarah's Sarah's last name. Lifsey, that was added, and the name that was changed was Mr. Samir Quadra. That's the difference. And the last paragraph recognizing her service as well. So we're gonna do like on the website, we'll go ahead and put like the new one. Okay, Council, before I move on with this, I need to make sure that we are in agreement with the changes that were made. So that way, this clean copy, we'll go ahead and move over to like voting. So that way it will save us having to bring it up again. So it's not a voting, but I need to like ask if there's agreement. Okay, so you're gonna be the last one because it's your resolution. I will hope you're in agreement with it, right? So Jenny?
Yes, I agree.
Danielle?
Yes, I agree.
Valerie?
Yes.
Joseph, you're still agreeing?
Well, I'm mostly agreeing, except I realized I missed a semicolon and after the third whereas when I added it.
Okay, we take it back. We do not agree to this resolution for a semicolon, no, but we're fine with the semicolon added. We're fine. All right, so our team, if we could put the new edit version, I'm good. So there is agreement in moving this document forward. I'm gonna open up to questions in case you guys have anything, but we'll go ahead and semicolon add it. Put the new resolution forward so you guys get to see it through the added package in the minutes as well. Okay. I'm not gonna call on you first. So Valerie, you got the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't have any questions or comments. I just thank you for working on this and getting the Green Team back up and running.
Thank you, Danielle.
I don't have any questions, but I do remember in 2018 with when Sarah took over, when my council member counterpart over here stepped down. So I find it a full circle that he is now thanking her for her service. So thank you for bringing the new Green Team to the city. Thank you.
Jenny?
I haven't spoken with you yet about this, Councilmember Jakuta, but my hope now that we have once we have a Green Team, is that we can restart the native plant network. I think we've had residents who have been eager to participate in that. So I look forward to that and other activities of the Green Team. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing that point. Thank you to the various residents that have submitted their package, their volunteering. One of the big things that maybe some residents are not aware, the sustainable certification that the city holds is heavy lifting done by the Green Team. So it's very important, but not just by the Green Team, but we're coming together and also meeting with the various churches to figure out what else they're doing so that we could fill in all the information through it. But aside from that, the Native Plant Network, making sure the city keeps our green goals, right? All that is very important and very engaging, but also motivating the residents to continue being green. And there's a whole list that Councilmember Jakuta read that Sarah has led, and I'm pretty sure the list could continue growing on it. But I definitely and I give you the mic right now, Joseph, as we move forward with this item, please make sure they're in the next meeting, so that way we could like sort them in and move it through. And please ask Sarah to also join us as well. Okay, you want to add anything else?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. Yeah, I did try to make sure I recruited someone specifically for the native pollinator network. So I hope that that was accomplished with one of the main architects of that. And yeah, I did encourage all the nominees to come to the April 7th meeting as well. So I hope they will all be there. I'm sure they largely will.
If not, we arrange another swearing in, but as many of them could be here makes it easier. But thank you, Joseph, as well for putting this together. I know this is one of the things that you really wanted to do. You obviously have very deep roots when it comes to the green team. Sarah filled very big shoes, and she beyond succeeded as well. So I'm pretty sure this team will do great as well. People are already heavily engaged in the community, so they're not stranger to any of us. So thank you for this. All right. Thank you. And I'm looking at Melissa. Make sure you do your final copy, send it over to the clerk, please. Okay. Melissa's like, yes, please. All right. Thank you so much. And Joseph, you're gonna have to do back to back. All right. Item number 7, discussion on ordinance 01-26. And I read it earlier, but for the record, go ahead and read all the codes and then I'll pitch it to you. Okay, Joseph? All right. So actually, you know what? I'm not gonna read the summary again because it's in the ordinance, so you get to read it together. So I'm pitching it to Councilmember Jacuda, who has helped put this ordinance number 01-2026 together. So give us a very brief summary and then let us know what is it that you're doing, okay?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. And I tried to convince our lawyer to let us just call it Division 0 ordinance, but she made us put all the text in there. But I think we could use that as shorthand. The ordinance is, I'd say, predominantly doing 4 different things. The first is that in 2025, the Maryland General Assembly and Governor Moore enacted what's called Jay's Law, which allows for persons riding on bicycles, play vehicles, which are essentially skateboards or unicycles on sidewalks in Maryland, as long as you yield to pedestrians. Also, it's important, especially for younger folks or folks traveling on busy roads, to be able to use the sidewalks because it's, if you ever tried going down Route 1 or Queens Chapel Road, it's quite dangerous when the cars are going very fast. After Jay's Law was passed, we became the only jurisdiction here that outlawed bicycling on sidewalks. Washington, D.C. allowed it several years ago. When Jay's Law was passed, it wiped out any ban, and Prince George's County unincorporated, and Brentwood didn't have a ban in place. So we would be sort of the outlier in our little neck of the woods. So the first thing the ordinance does, is to remove that prohibition on bicyclists using sidewalks. Now, there was one exception to that. It does still ban electric bicycles on sidewalks. I do use an electric bike. Those things can go fast and are much heavier, and they can keep up with traffic. So we are keeping that in place. We are allowed to do that under the state law. And the second is there was a particular situation on 31st Street and Perry because of the new street design. It just created all kinds of strange parking issues on that one block. So this ordinance, if adopted or enacted, will allow for people to park facing either direction on just that street. There's been all kinds of safety issues with people like trying to back down the street halfway in order to park safely, and this will just make the whole thing much safer. I will note that I did go door to door down on that block, or emailed folks down there to try and make sure I had a general consensus on what the people on that block wanted to see with the new traffic pattern. The third thing it is in the Vision Zero safety plan from several years ago. One of the only legal things that we had never accomplished was a full banning of through truck traffic on all of our streets. Now, it's kind of strange the way this is set up because we specify which streets we can ban truck traffic on, and there are signs where it says no truck traffic. For instance, on my street at 29th Street, there's a nice sign at the end of the block, but however, that wasn't listed in the streets where we could ban truck trafficking. So it's cleaning this up so that truck traffic is just allowed on certain streets going forward. And that would be on Rhode Island Avenue, because that's a major thoroughfare, on Queens Chapel Road, because that's also a major thoroughfare, on that little bit of Chillum, where we have annexed by the West Hyattsville Metro. And then also there's some specific streets down on Otis and Wells, down by the more industrial area by the glassworks where it's allowed. And then the last thing, while we were trying to review this whole piece of legislation, the city lawyer and I, we worked and noticed that there was just parts of this that were not well written. And so we're just cleaning up things like, for instance, this new section E, we are cutting out some extra text and having it be fit with more modern ordinance fashion. That's not actually a substantive change. It's not going to impact anyone's ability to follow the rules. And there's also ones where, like, for instance, we put in a specific definition of motor vehicles when it was very generic before, just trying to have best practices with our ordinances. And that will be it as far as what we're trying to do. It does touch a lot of sections, but it's helping to clean up our code and also help to make our streets safer.
Thank you. That was the good summary / wording of it. So this was in our package, so the information is there. Anything that you see underlined is things that have been added. Anything that you see crossed out are things that have been deleted from the ordinance. And ordinance a little bit, they require for us to do definitely different work. But I'm gonna open it out to council on the meeting. We are gonna have to read the whole document, okay? Not today, because you already gave very detailed summaries, but I would like people are aware of what the streets are, what codes they are, and so on. So that way at least it's like verbal record of what we're passing, okay? So I'm gonna go Danielle, Jenny, Valerie, and then I'm gonna leave you at the end because it's give you a little break, okay?
Thank you.
From what I was speaking. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Joseph, thank you so much for this. I couldn't support this anymore. In fact, on my way here tonight, I saw a semi truck pull onto 34th Street going towards Queens Chapel off of Rhode Island. And I had kind of a flashback to last year. I'm sure others here on the council, maybe even in the community, remembers the semi truck that got stranded on Shepherd Street down by Eastern Avenue and ended up having to back, somebody's nodding their head, had to back up all the way up Shepherd, all the way down Shepherd. And a lot of us were very nervous, residents watching it drive by our cars parked on the street. So I really appreciate this, and I hope that we can reduce that, which is a safety issue with this new ordinance. So thank you very much for your work.
Thank you. Jenny?
Thank you, Councilmember Jakuta, for your diligent work and precision in drafting. I appreciate it, and cleaning up the code. Warms my heart. I'm not super excited about bikes on sidewalks, as you well know, but I do appreciate being in line with the other neighboring municipalities. I also hope that the section 13107, updating our parking, will maybe lead to a renewal of proper parking enforcement in our city, which right now is often lacking. So thank you.
Thank you. Valerie?
Yes, thank you for drafting this and for putting this together. Like Councilmember Hoffpower, I'm also a little concerned about bikes on sidewalks being allowed. I think that is something that aligns to the state and to the DC area, but I think we might want to think through what that looks like in terms of just communications, making sure that we don't end up with e-bikes on sidewalks, because I can see that happening as well. if it becomes a big problem. And then the other thing I think that we should just think through a little bit is making sure that when the ordinance passes, if it does, that the police department is made aware of this change and that that communication is out there, because I know that they're always had the idea of the right wheel to the curb at 6 inches, and that's been the state of how they've worked. So just making sure that we're communicating about that and letting people know that that's how the parking is going to change. Thank you.
Joseph?
I appreciate all the statements. I have nothing further to add.
Maybe I should have spoken before we said, I'm just kidding. I know it's kind of awkward when I'm the last one anyways. No, but thank you for putting this together. I think that it was important to have it on one document and reference where they come from. A lot of times we put beautiful documents together and people don't realize like where we're pulling them from. But one of the things that is always becomes a challenge for us, right, is making sure we're keeping up with state law, county law, and trying to figure out where we want to be as a city, because we have at least some autonomy, right, to be able to say here. The other thing is like we might have to also rethink it, because I do need that trolley trailer, maybe the bike lane, and maybe that will solve some of the problems of people feeling like safe enough. I know there's been a lot of work trying to get us like, because either funding or planning, or a little bit of both, right? Sometimes like they stop and we're like, wait a minute, you stop here, but there's still like 3 cities to get us to DC. So you might be riding safely, and I don't ride much, right? Or even walking safely. And if a sudden, bam, there's nothing. And you're like, so where do I go? Right? But I think as, you know, additional things are added to the city, maybe this will also allow for people to be like, maybe I want on a street, let me go on a safe pathway. So that's something that we need to also consider. Also, I want to say thank you for making sure you added. I know that's one of the things that I definitely was looking into, to make sure that we understood what the definitions were. Because just saying a truck does not mean anything if I don't know what it looks like, right? But also just to be clear, this is talking about trucks passing to our city. Because the other concern that was is like businesses, the schools, the churches, the food distributions, bring heavy, like, you know, bring trucks to be able to, obviously the businesses provide whatever they need, the schools, the food there is, the food distribution sites also have to bring the food to locality, right? That is still enacted. People could utilize it, because that was one of the questions I had. It's just as trucks go through, they could stop, do their business and keep going. But obviously want to make sure that they follow the rules of the city. I know some people like to cut off on Rhode Island to get to X location, but the reality is like we are also making it, this is where the bump us help, because we make it very, very specific for cars to go and ideally discourage certain traffic, either it's fast traffic or traffic that it's not supposed to be there. So thank you. I think this accumulates a lot of the information on. It's going to be on our website. It's already there. So if you have any questions about it, reach out to Councilmember Jakuda for any follow-up questions and stuff like that. If you're watching us online or video later, okay? It's a hefty on it, but we should be able to follow through with it. But seeing this document has a lot of it, does anybody has a question in the audience for Councilmember Jakuda? No, we're good. You know where to find them. He's like biking around. We have at least 3 bikers, at the minimum 3 bikers. I'm not one of them. Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so moving on to number 8, discussion on rules for public comment. Ooh, hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me see. Okay, I just need to put it in my screen. All right, Jenny, you put this item, correct? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is really just to change our practice. There had been, well, I'm not quite sure what the council did, but there was a change to the rules for public comment that has been posted in our meeting agendas since the council went virtual. And now that we are back in person, I'm just proposing that we return to what our council rules actually state, which is what is on the screen. And I just wanted to make sure that we discuss it and I would like to see this implemented and the rules for public comment section in the next meeting agenda correctly state what is written in the council rules. That's it.
Okay, so Council, I'm gonna open up the floor and I'll go at the end. Okay. So just a point of information, I think maybe, I wanna say like 2 councils ago, maybe a council ago, maybe 2 councils ago, adjusted it a little bit. And that's the reason why you see a little different, but heavily was because we were virtually and coming back to person. We need to make that adjustment. So thank you for bringing it out to the agenda. I appreciate that. All right, so Daniela, when you first? Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my left. So I went Valerie. Joseph, Valerie. Joseph, did I went first or no?
I think this will be the first time I'm first,
Okay,
but I've been
okay.
talking a
Oh,
lot.
because you have
also.
other items in the agenda, right? There you go.
Yeah.
Joseph, you're first. No.
No, thank you, Councilmember Hoffpower, for bringing this to the floor today. I do think it's important for us to follow what our rules as we adopted them back in May, and also this approach would be. I've attended a lot of county council meetings and school board meetings, and this approach is similar to what those bodies do. I think it helps for us to, hear directly from residents. I think it'll also, it's also want to put this new lovely meeting room to use. I'm glad to actually be talking to some folks in the audience tonight. So, I think this will be a good step, and I'm glad we're getting back to what we had voted on.
Okay, Valerie.
Thank you. I have nothing to add on this. Thank you.
Okay, Danielle.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for doing this. After the last meeting and all the reading off of Facebook, and Mayor, reading everything, it just reminded me that, the reason we had those provisions in there was for COVID times, because it was a necessity for people to be able to keep up with the council via Zoom. And now we're back in person, and now that our community wanted us back in person, now we want our community in person too. So reverting back to, like Councilmember Jakuta said, going back to the wording that we agreed on and voted on back in May, I think is appropriate. And I want to take this opportunity to invite all the residents who have questions and comments for us to come down, stand at the podium, look us in the face, say what you want to say. Let us hear you. That is why we are here. Emails are great, but I'd rather see your beautiful smiling faces at the podium holding us to task. So you're welcome. So thank you again, Councilmember Hoffpower, for doing this.
Jenny.
I did have one other comment that we will be needing to update the Council of Rules to allow for hybrid meetings, because right now they don't. And so want to continue with hybrid meetings. And so just for clarity, these rules indicate that public comment has to be done in person. But hybrid meetings would continue. I would personally prefer that the hybrid meetings be on Zoom and not use Facebook for that purpose. But perhaps it could be streamed from Zoom onto Facebook. I don't know. Facebook is not a company that I like to do any business with, and I would discourage the city from doing any business with Facebook as well. So I think that we still have to work through that. My understanding for the public is that we are going to get a fancy desk here, and when that comes in, it's going to have these like screens embedded into it, and it will enable us to do hybrid really easily. So we still have to kind of figure out interim step, but definitely want to enable people to watch meetings from home, and they could submit comments in advance, but to actually comment at the meeting that they would have to come in person.
Okay. Thank you so much. I will tell you that for me, I need to adjust 2 things here because they're too vague, and it's gotten us in trouble in the past. This one says time limits for speaker indicated on the meeting agenda. There's no place to land them. So the reason why we put the 3 minutes on it was to make sure the public knew upfront they had 3 minutes. But that doesn't says, it just says time limits will be in the agenda. So the reason why we added that 3 minutes there was because we wanted to make sure people knew from the beginning that was their allocated time, because people were feeling it used to be 1 minute. We moved it up to 3 minutes in order to give them more space. So that'll be one of the things that I definitely would recommend for us to add it, to be clear with the community on what their time speaking is. So that way there's, you know, if we need to adjust, it needs to adjust, but at least it starts with the 3 minutes. The other thing that that was removed, and I will want you guys to consider this as well, court enforcement and public safety issues should first be brought up to the attention of appropriate departments in our council members. There's more than 2 departments, and I kind of feel like this very much singles out these 2 departments, right? So that's something, the reason why we also change it, and it's contradictory because in the paragraph 2 above, it states like, go to the city manager, and then it goes, but go here. So I would definitely ask for you guys if we could potentially delete that line and just direct people to the same location. If not, it's like everybody go to Mr. Kamali and those departments on their own. So I feel like all the directions have always been like, that's who you go to. So it contradicts what we're more or less saying. So that will be in. And the other thing that was added was like an example of what block and street number was, because a lot of residents were giving us their full address. And usually we'll put the example of like, no, it's 3737 block as an example, right? If we could potentially add that as well, just to facilitate it for the community. It doesn't quite change this here because it does says like, you know, record your name, and then it says like address and names of individuals describing, noting that block is preferred over a specific address, right? But that's not very clear because block is, and that was some of the things that we needed to fine tune in order to make sure that residents knew we mean 3700 block, because it's not usually how we usually speak, right? You're like, I live on this, but also to make sure that we helped along the process. So for those that are following us, we usually have this at the bottom of the agenda, and we start putting it in. It was not at the bottom of the agenda originally. We started putting so that way before you even show up to the meeting, you knew what the rules were. So that way you didn't feel like sideline it or being like, wait a minute, I'm not sure what you're asking me to do. So from the beginning, you were like, you read the agenda, you figure out what it is, you come in and you were better prepared. So those will be like at least the 3 things that I was council to consider keeping from whatever the agenda version is, just to make it clear. Because I'm going to say it anyways, so that way the community knows it's 3 minutes. This just facilitates us, for me as a chair, not to have to like get a little piece of paper and repeat it, so that way I could help the community along, to remind them that it's 3 minutes speaking, what the block number is, and again, directing questions to our city manager. So I know I said something. I'm gonna basically put you guys, whether you guys wanna say something or not, let me know. I'll go a second round, but I know it's kind of weird because we're not, you know, but this is more of like, when it was brought in, thank you, Jenny, for putting it in, was, to me, felt like it was more like a discussion, and for you guys to also hear out the help and support that I need when we're reading this to the community. That way it is clear why we need it. And if it means that we need to work on it, approve it, and then go back and approve this section of the council rules, I'm okay with it. But at least for me, I'll facilitate it so that way it is in writing. Because if not, I mean, I'm gonna say it anyways to help the community along, right? But it will make a difference for me. Okay, so I started with Joseph. I remember this. So I'm gonna go the opposing end. Jenny, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I think as a matter of law, I would say that we're legally obligated to use what's in the council rules until we amend it. Of course, I'm not the city attorney, but the amendments that you mentioned, I think, make a lot of sense, and we should do those. But I would like to just clarify that I would really like to have what's written in the council rules be on our agendas until we correct them. by adding the changes that you noted.
Danielle.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. You're right. We used to have 3 minutes for before, COVID, 3 minutes for individuals and 5 minutes for groups or a representative of a group. And I think that does need to be reflected in this. I agree that this is a work session issue that we do need to work on to amend the rules in our council rules and regulations. And I'm more than happy to work on that either tonight or until, we work on it next month, have these put into the agenda as Councilmember Hoffpower said, and then you make the verbal adjustments or can we call them clarifications until that? But the code enforcement, you're right, that's kind of redundant. And the street and block number, is a thing that we used to do with signups and stuff. Can we get a copy of the wording that we had pre-pandemic, or is this the wording from pre-pandemic?
That's 2-3 councils ago. When Mayor
When it
Miles was
changed,
mayor,
yeah.
when Mayor was mayor, she would go ahead and add it, but it wasn't added to the agenda.
Okay.
So it was kind of like internally we knew it, but the community didn't know it. So I decided to add it. But the reality is like these rules for speakers don't even need to go on the agenda. So according to the rules, there's nothing in the rules that said it has to be part of the agenda. I went ahead and got support from the council to add it so that way it was transparent from the beginning, so that it will help people be able to speak. But before Mayor Miles would say a version of it.
Right.
And that was it, but I felt like it was easier for me to just read it in the agenda. But the council rules, as far as I recall, it doesn't say this needs to be added to the agenda. So if we're gonna go by the council rules, we don't even have to put this to the agenda. It's the council rules, at least from what I recall, doesn't say this paragraph needs to be on the agenda. It was more of like an understanding of what we wanted to do.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I feel like we're here to have this discussion, but the reality is if we're going by council rules, all of this, the council rules does not say needs to be added to the agenda. That was something I added 5 years ago.
I will agree because it does, our council rules do say that the chair dictates how much time is allowed at the podium too, but, and I understand where you're going. I would like to hear from the other council members on what their thoughts are, because if it's an agreement that, the majority wants to change the wording in the council rules, and procedures, I'm fine with doing that work, going forward. But you're right, because I remember Mayor Miles saying something different than this, and thank you for clarifying that. So I'd be interested. She did, but I'm interested in hearing what the other council members say too. Thank you.
Valerie?
Thank you, and thank you for the discussion. I agree that showing people in the agenda how to properly identify themselves with the block number and, I think that's helpful to add. I don't think that changes the basis of the rules at all. I do think also code enforcement and public safety issues, that line is a little bit redundant, as Councilmember Carter said. So I would be okay with slightly changing these rules. I think the council rules can be amended. And I think we should make those amendments for this specific part, but then we also need to look at the further council rules. Thank you.
Joseph?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm certainly in favor of trying to make your life easier reading this whole set of paragraphs in order to make sure folks know how to provide public comment. I definitely think we should amend the rules so that it reflects what we want to say, because it's important for people to be able to say what they need to say at a meeting. But I certainly understand that the need for you to be able to get the point across. And if there's problems with the way it's written right now, we should fix that. And I'm in favor of the suggestions you made, because they all are very reasonable, and I'm sure we can all work on this, I hope, and try and get it in place quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Because I think that the problem I'm seeing right now, if we don't agree to these changes, we have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks. I will tell you that I have no idea where I'm going to stick in 3 minutes are allowed to be speaking unless I put it in the heading somewhere. So if you guys agree to those changes, I will add them, but if you guys don't, I don't even think there's a purpose for us to add it to the agenda. I'll just write what I'm gonna say, and it doesn't need to be in the agenda. But I will tell, and the reason why I'll do it is because I have to clarify to the public that it's 3 minutes, the block number, and the point person is Mr. Kamali, right? So to me is, thank you for noting that it's minor changes, but it's more clarity on it. But I honestly don't feel like it's up to you guys. But the reality is like, yes, as chair, I get to decide what I say when it comes to the speaker rules. So the agenda, if we're sticking to the rules, doesn't say this needs to be added to the agenda. But, and the reason why the rules were added was because I specifically asked them to be on it in order to support the staff, and I speak them. But I will still be saying what I say, mainly because it just facilitates the conversation. So I don't know what you guys want to do, but I think that waiting on adjusting this for even another month is just like time that I feel like we don't need to spend. So if you guys are going to keep it as is, I'm going to strike it down from the agenda. Thank you. I'll strike it down from the agenda. If we do move forward to, you know, agreeing on the changes, then it makes sense to keep it. But then that it becomes very confusing, because now me and the city manager will have to figure out where we put this in writing. And if it means like message from the mayor and top of the agenda, I might have to do that. But it's not as clean cut as it is. So the difference, if you see it up there, says where it says time limit, you should say like 3 minutes, so that way you're aware. And when the block, whatever else, will also say like an example of it. But yeah, it's a little more condensed. And just to clarify, the council rules for the most part have, because we used to have so many discussions on the different items as the, you know, the two last former bodies. I think that we made the adjustments. We were like, okay, do we accept this? Yes, and move forward. And then obviously when you vote on the agenda, you vote on the whole material that's in the agenda. So more or less that's the reason why it has been continued to accept it. But we do have a third round if you guys want to speak. We do have 2 minutes. I will tell you that legally it's not, as making those 3 changes does not actually hurt us in any way. Not only that, it's like the agenda has, for the most part, like it's not like legal to have never seen an agenda or what we say. So yeah. So I'm gonna open up the floor, and you guys, I need to hear from you guys. Okay. All right. We're gonna go. Joseph, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one point of clarification. The rule does say that during the hearing, the following set of rules shall be printed at the end of the agenda. However, that being said, there's nothing that says you have to read it word for word when you give your little spiel at the beginning. So you could, I don't see any problem with, until we fix it in the rules, for you to make your changes that make life easier and clearer for everyone when you verbally say it. So I personally would not have a problem with that, but I do think it should be written as it is in the rules, because that's what the rules say, that it should be printed at the end of the agenda. But
So so you're recommending for me to just print my own spiel, read my own spiel.
I mean, it would,
onto the agenda.
it would just be the
Although
3 minor clarifications that you like.
Although well, remember, I'm the chair, so I need to get clarity on what is it that you guys are asking me to do. So I'm asking you, are you asking for the council rules to be printed in the agenda?
Yeah.
For me to print a different copy that I will read?
A very
Also-
similar copy that just has the little changes you like. I don't know, I was trying to come up with something that.
Yeah, I think that some of the
met
things we
everyone
could be a little
halfway.
bit flexible. It's not gonna damage, because it's more points of clarity.
Excuse me, I'd like to move that we add 5 minutes to the agenda, please.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we add 5 minutes to this
How
agenda.
much? Is there a second?
A second.
There's been a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion on this? Objection, abstentions? Here none. We have 5 more minutes added. Thank you. Go ahead.
Anyway, that was the idea. I thought that would try and solve your problem. So I was hoping that would help, but we can go from there. Thank you.
Go ahead, Valerie.
Question for my council members. How long do you think it will take us to change the council rules and approve them as a whole?
Go ahead. At least a month.
I am going to spend all day Sunday on it. Councilmember Jakuta's already worked on it quite a lot. I think possibly we could have an extra work session to introduce it so that we don't have to wait until the next scheduled work session. I'm not saying that that's a good idea, just as a possibility. I can commit to spending my entire Sunday on revising them.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So if you're working on Sunday on this, can we adjust the rules to reflect what Mayor Benitez is asking for so that the rules can be posted to the agenda and it can be in the public record, and so that everybody in the audience and who's watching these meetings afterwards understand what has changed, and so that everybody has the same understanding of what we're talking about when we say the council rules for speakers. I think that would be helpful.
Okay. Danielle?
As far as changing the council rules as a whole, I'm in favor of that. I think it is appropriate and plausible for us to change one section at this time. I think, Mayor, to make things easier in the interim, I think posting this to satisfy the rules, the rules as they are now at the end of the agenda is appropriate. And like you even, both you and I remember, I know Councilmember Jakuta remembers, Mayor Miles you're right. She did say her own thing. Nothing is stopping you from paraphrasing in your own way. I don't think the rules dictate that the chair specifically verbatim read them. As long as they're posted, you can read them in the way that you feel appropriate. And I think that would satisfy the council rules going and coming. Thank you.
Danny?
I have nothing else.
So I'll tell you where my problem lies. You're asking me to put something on the agenda that is different than what I'm going to be saying. And to me, it feels like it's minor adjustments of clarity that does not change what the rules of speakers are, because the 3 minutes have been agreed on. That doesn't change this. This says time limits for speaker are indicated in the agenda. It doesn't say we're in the agenda. So if we choose to, well, technically I as the chair could choose to put it in this paragraph. And that's more or less what we have done. So it's clear. The block, noting the block number is just adding an example of it. That's all it's doing. It's not changing. It's not saying from now on you need to say it in a different language, right? All it's saying is noting the block number is preferred specific, and we put an example to it. It's something simple. I will tell you that the contradiction will be if a resident comes in to us and said, like, this is what's posted in the agenda. This is the rules that I'm following. As I'm here verbally giving you a different set of rules. And so to me, it's like a little bit of a contradiction. I would tell you, based it even in this discussion, it feels more of like, go ahead and post them. I'm not reading them. I'll go ahead and read the spiel that I prepare, right? Because I think it's more specific to what we need to be doing in order to have clarity on it. And based on what you guys have to tell me, I definitely have the right to do that. And that sounds like what you guys want me to do. I will go ahead and think about it. At the end of the day, it's up to the chair what they decide to read, and I'll figure out what I read. Mr. Kamali, I'll be working with you. But I think that directing the community to speak to Mr. Kamali, regardless of department, is something that is key. Because if somebody comes to an agenda and says, according to your agenda, this is what I'm being told to do, it gets us in a very icky situation. And it gets the staff in an icky situation. It gets the city manager in a bad situation. Mr. Kamali, I'll go ahead and give you the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, because I do have a problem with the last statement because that is undermining my authority.
Excuse me, I make a motion, we add 5 minutes to this agenda line item.
Next time, flag me because you could have missed it. No, it's okay. Because just do me a favor, when time is running out, either if you're gonna do it earlier, alert me. If not, I'm looking at Pink and I could request the time. So that way at least I try my best not to cut the speaker. So can I have a motion on the floor to add 5 more minutes to the clock?
I made that motion.
Well, I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, and remember, when you guys make a motion, you cannot say, can I make a motion? Just make the motion. If not, you're asking a question. So any discussion? Objection, abstention, hearing none. We are in 5 more minutes. Mr. Kamali, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I do have a problem with the last statement because the council are not in charge of the team. I am the one that running that team, and I like to make sure if there is any problem, the community needs to reach out to me, not to the department head. And I think that's, I don't know about this statement. At least this one should be, corrected. We can talk to the city attorney and have a look at it and, bring it up as soon as possible. We can make changes. So I do appreciate about the last statement and timing. You guys make a decision, but that one, somehow I'm not comfortable with that statement.
Okay, so regardless of what we decide to, our legal team needs to look at it, and she could make a recommendation of where, if there's anything that we could potentially do, or if we're violating any legal, if we go ahead and make those clarities points, and I think that would be important as well to hear from our legal team. I mean, it got brought up that it might be legally against what we're doing, so I definitely would like for our legal team to make sure that that they address it, and if they so feel like by making clarity things is not it is not a concern, that's something to take highly into consideration, because at this point we're assuming what they're gonna say and it's not clear. All right, so we already went. I need to ask for your agreement on this. We already went 3 rounds. I'm asking for the agreement from the council to go ahead and do 1 minute run up. Will you guys be open to that? 1 more minute to any, if anybody has any statements to make, so that way I don't leave it alone. Okay, so,
I just have one quick comment.
but you need to
I
agree for the other round.
I agree.
And that way make it fair for you guys, because we agree only 3 rounds, right? So is everybody good for 1 minute? If you need to say something, it's just a no, it's a no. How are we? Yes, 1 more minute statements if anybody wants to make it? Yes, yes?
Yep.
Okay, Daniela, I know you go ahead.
Okay, I want to reiterate that I think what I'm hearing from everybody is that last sentence needs to go. We feel that it's redundant. It does, because, so Mr. Kamali, I think we all acknowledge that you are the one, you work for us, they work for you. So if the city has an issue with public works or code, they really need to reach out to you. Of course, they're going to reach out to us anyway, but it doesn't need to be broadcast like that. So I just want you to know, I don't think anybody wants that sentence to stay. At least that's the way I'm feeling. I just wanted to make sure he understood what we were saying.
Yeah, but I think his issue is also that is in writing in the agenda. So if somebody reaches out to staff and stuff like that, is contradictory to what we're saying. So we're trying to basically do, and legal might take a bite and help us beyond it. Okay, you're not in violation if you're making simple clarity, right? But I think what he's trying to make sure is to do that. What we're practicing, what we're saying is the same thing. It might be a lot easier than we think it is, because they're clarifying points and nothing else. All right, so we will leave it at that, okay? Legal team will give us advice, and then we could move on, so that way we don't have, I think everybody said their piece as much as they need to say. All right. Moving on to item number 9, presentation of minutes. The city clerk will present the February 17 work session, February 21st, 2026, council retreat, March 3rd, legislative meeting minutes to the mayor and council. Those are in your package. If you're the community, they're also online, and there's no voting tonight. It's just a presentation. I would like to make a motion to adjourn as 9:08.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
I move to second.
It's been probably moved and second.
I came because I wanted to discuss something with the council. I thought the community could come.
During work sessions, we don't have public comment. It's just it's technically the work session is just time for us to work together for the legislative meetings. That's the first Tuesday of every month. So, yeah. So this is an additional meeting we do just to work with each other, so that way we don't enter violation of open meetings if we need to talk to one another.
That wasn't clear on the calendar at all.
Yeah, so and this is why I need clarity on the agenda, but the agenda for when you're on the legislation meeting will say public comment on it. This one has no public comment added to the agenda for that reason, so that way. Yeah,
And if it's not clear, it doesn't state no public comment, it just says, public is welcome.
So we'll work on making that clarity as well, okay? So, yeah, our apologies. Yeah, work sessions are more of like our time to work together and discuss this and stuff. Yeah. So I will say something to you. Usually we ask people to go on the mic to speak, but since we can't, yeah, but I will have to very politely cut the conversation over because there's a motion on the floor to like adjourn. And once that is, not even we can talk. It like freezes us after that. So any objections, abstentions? Here none. This meeting has come to an end. Thank you guys.